Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Amelia Burnett. I am the Associate Director for InfraTech with the Global Infrastructure Hub. We're a not-for-profit formed by the G20 to advance sustainable, resilient and inclusive infrastructure, and I'll be chairing this session today, Revolutionizing Resilience, Harnessing InfraTech for Climate Adaptation. It's no longer a nice-to-have InfraTech or infrastructure technology. It's now critical to enabling resilient infrastructure assets and resilient infrastructure systems. And it's also playing an increasingly important role in de-risking investment, the investment that's critically needed to mobilise more private sector investment towards sustainable infrastructure projects. In this session, we're going to shine a spotlight on three pioneering infratech companies currently engaged in emerging markets and developing economies. These three organisations have been selected by the three organisations represented here today: the Global Infrastructure Hub, the African Union Development Agency, and the Private Infrastructure Development Group. Through this session, which you will see firsthand how technology can be used to make infrastructure adaptive and more resilient for a changing climate. The reason we're doing this is because we want to make it clear that we can solve future challenges with solutions that are available today. But what we're seeing, and through our work in the InfraTech program, is that adoption of these sorts of solutions is not yet widespread. And this requires, to increase adoption, requires enabling the InfraTech ecosystem. The InfraTech ecosystem is made up of two critical parts. It is those who are funding and financing InfraTech solutions and those who are funding and financing infrastructure projects. But what we're seeing through our work of looking at scaling up that ecosystem is that there's this missing middle. There's this missing middle that is communicating the opportunities in the infrastructure and construction space to technology companies and to those who are developing and financing technology solutions that could be applied in infrastructure. And there's also missing the de-risking instruments and the effective ways for these solutions to be applied at scale across portfolios and pipelines of infrastructure projects. So what we're doing today with this session is we've created a little mini InfraTech ecosystem right here in the Resilience Hub. We have, with an expert panel made up of those who are developing and financing infrastructure projects and three innovative InfraTech solutions. So I'm going to start by passing over to our expert panel to start to set the scene for why it is that, continue to set the scene for the session. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Amin Idris Abdoum, who is the Director of Infrastructure, Trade and Industry at the African Union Development Agency, to speak to how they're using InfraTech across their pipeline of projects moving forward.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amin Idris, and I'm the Director for Infrastructure. Infrastructures, actually, industrialization, trade and regional integration at the African Union. In fact, there is a reason why we put actually infrastructures and trade as part of the regional integration, because we believe that to integrate the continent, definitely you need infrastructure, but you need also to trade. But you have to do that in a sustainable manner, and this is actually where I would say InfraTech come into around the table. Now, before to continue, let me share with you what we are doing in the area of infrastructures. We are implementing what we call the Program for Infrastructures Development in Africa, PIDA, the second generation of the PIDA. The first generation was from 2010 to 2020, and the second generation is from 2021 to 2030. First generation was about 400 infrastructure projects then. Now we scale down, I would say, become more realistic, more focused, and we've got 69 projects from energy, then transport, and water, and ICT, of course. Now, in all those projects, we strongly believe that InfraTech can play a huge role. First, from the identification phase, we can actually use, and we are doing it. It's not like we can, but we are technically doing it on the ground. We are using InfraTech and technologies actually really to support our member states our clients to better identify the projects on the ground. So using technology, using data. We use as well InfraTech at the level of project implementation. That one, definitely we use those technology to drive proper planning, to make sure that the implementation actually goes as per the plan that was defined. And obviously, we believe as well in all our projects that we can actually use really InfraTech to bring an additional value. Let me share with you the example of the OSBP, one-stop border post. Most of the time, countries are connected, and to make sure that trade actually flows perfectly without any glitch, or to reduce really the delay and the friction, it's important to use systems actually that help countries, especially from both sides at the border post, not only to share data, but to make sure that the flows, the logistical flows actually work perfectly. So those are the areas where we really use InfraTech. Now, over and above the PIDA, we believe that we need to support the InfraTech companies, especially the ones from the small, medium, and micro, small, and medium actually level. And in order to do that, we have defined three projects specifically. We have one level of project for the micro companies. We call it 100 million micro, small, and medium enterprises. And that one have a huge component in terms of InfraTech at two levels. Both first to support them, as InfraTech companies, and secondly to offer them as well opportunities, making sure that we connect them actually to the big infrastructure projects. The second level is really about the medium companies as well, and that one we have invested as well with our partners money into the creation of an accelerator in which we take them, and we support them to make sure that at one stage when they reach quite good level of risk mitigation, they can actually access to equity, access to partnership. And the third one, of course, we have a specific projects dedicated to companies working specifically in the InfraTech actually sector. And those ones as well, we have last year and this year with the support of our partners, especially GIZ, we have actually launched an initiative in which we made a call for proposal. They make submissions, and we take them through a process of really building their capacity so they will be able to compete at the regional level, but also at the global level, and provide services, in improving the offer of infrastructures in the continent. So this is actually what we are doing, I will say. At NEPAD, we strongly believe that the future of infrastructures in Africa, especially if you want to build resilient infrastructure, but also sustainable infrastructure, cost effective, we really need to make sure that technology is used from the beginning. That's actually what I can say to start with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's incredible hearing, just spoken to the need for ecosystems, bringing together the development alongside of the projects, as well as the development of the technology companies themselves. So fantastic to hear how that's being approached, and nurturing the small organizations, and also making sure there's the pathways to success for those that are more developed. I'd now like to introduce Marco Serena, who is the Chief Sustainability Impact Officer with the Private Infrastructure Development Group, to share a bit about how their organization and their fund is looking to InfraTech.
Thank you. Thanks, Amelia. Good morning, and thanks, Director, as well. So I'll just take a couple of minutes to explain what we do and go to the point on InfraTech, and then so that we can move down to look at these technologies today. So Private Infrastructure Development Group, we are developing and financing infrastructure in Africa and Southeast Asia, disproportionately in countries with low levels of income or emerging economies. And we do that in three ways. The first one is we support projects when they are at the very early stage, and companies at the very early stage of development. The second one is we unlock domestic investment, so investment in local capital, in local currency from in the countries in which we operate, which is always important because a lot of the revenue streams are in local currency. And then the third thing is we have some blended finance structures where we put in some funds that can attract more private sector to invest at a portfolio level, because project by project is too risky, is too complicated, is too costly. And given where we operate, we went through phases over the past few years. The first phase was to acknowledge that climate resilience and the resilience of the infrastructure that we put in place is absolutely essential to our own revenues. We've started doing things differently and choosing materials and technologies differently for that infrastructure to be more resilient. But then, given our mandate as a bridge between private capital and catalytic capital, that is not enough. And so we relaunched our strategy recently this year, and we're looking at investing in infrastructure that can generate changes in two ways. One, improve climate adaptation and resilience for the people. So we're not looking anymore at preserving the infrastructure that we put in place, but how do we choose? Which projects do we choose in order to maximize benefits on resilience and adaptation for the people and the companies that use that infrastructure? So we're looking at technology there in three ways. The first one is some of the companies we invest in are essentially technology companies. They are software companies. I'm thinking of, for example, electric vehicles, motorbike, battery swap. There's a high level of software and technology that is based on that. That is at the core of the business, or mini grid is another one. And then the second part is how do we improve the resilience of the infrastructure? So we're looking at monitoring the performance. And so, for example, we invest in battery energy storage, and we look at the performance of that battery, and that helps us in two ways. It helps us reduce our costs and optimize our investment, but also it helps us demonstrate the viability of that investment and how long that infrastructure will be in place, how long it will be used, and the financials are much easier to do in that way. And then the third way in which we use InfraTech is to monitor what's happening as a result. So we use spatial mapping and we use technology to have a direct link with the people who are using the infrastructure and with the impacts that we're generating that we couldn't have before. So it's absolutely part of what we are doing, and as an investor in infrastructure involved operating with a private sector mindset, when we talk to InfraTech companies, we don't invest in InfraTech companies as such, but we invest in companies and projects that deliver infrastructure with a high level of InfraTech, because that is a good guarantee that that infrastructure will be more resilient and that will deliver more benefits.
Thank you very much. And it's incredible to see how there are so many potential applications when we look at InfraTech, and our definition for InfraTech is quite broad in that we're looking at everything from materials innovation to these complex systems of technologies that are being able to give real-time information about the performance of infrastructure. But there really are, when we get down to it, and through our InfraTech Knowledge Hub, we've got over 200 different case studies for the types of solutions that are out there that are ready to adopt. But today we're hearing from three specific organisations. So the format for the rest of the session is we will invite three InfraTech organisations that we have selected to showcase their solutions. They'll have 5 minutes to showcase their solutions, and then they'll be available for a Q&A with our expert panel to learn a little bit more about the solution and about how it's applied and its impact. At the end of the three organisations presenting, we will invite our audience online and our audience here in the room to vote for their favourite solution to be awarded the Audience Favourite Award for this session. So the first organisation that I would like to introduce is Maruna. And joining us live from Lebanon, we have Yasmin Jabali, who is the co-founder of Maruna, who is going to be joining us now to showcase their solution.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So can you see my screen as well? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yasmin, and I'm the co-founder of Mruna. Mruna is a transliteration of the Arabic word for resilience, and we work on solutions that promote our namesake. 2,000 years ago, Pliny declared the Glauca Maxima. It's Rome's greatest architectural invention. It's an ancient sewer that's remarkably still in use today. But what's more remarkable is that cities continue to use the same strategy. They built a vast pipe network under the city and let it flow as quickly and far away as possible. A linear model might have been okay when Rome's population was only 5,000 people. But with the mega sprawling cities of today, this might lead to significant challenges. In Lebanon, well-intentioned donors have built many conventional sewage treatment plants that never saw a day of operation, just because Lebanon can't afford to build the sewage network and they don't have the means to operate and maintain the system. In UAE, despite the billions of dollars invested in mega sewage infrastructure, many suburbs are still too expensive to connect, and people are still relying on diesel-hungry trucks. That's why you still can see those diesel trucks on Al Khair Road. Another problem that water consumption is increasing year over year, and because of desalination, water has high carbon footprint in the region. Developers are building luxury master planned communities. Their ethos, aspirational communities, and sustainable development. Customers, they expect green luxury spaces that require a lot of water, and owners, they expect to have healthy profit. So it's like trying to have your cake and eat it. Water consumption, as I said, is increasing year over year. So how can we get greater luxury, profit, and sustainability blended at the same time? Wastewater is the only resource that increases year over year because as cities grow, we continue to produce more of it. So the question, why can't we treat wastewater on site and provide clean water that could be reused? Developers can build mechanical systems, but those are expensive, complex, and an eyesore, and they require large space. Our design philosophy is that there's no waste in nature. Our biomap system consists of an elegant series of tanks that imitate aquatic habitat, treat wastewater, and create clean water for irrigation purposes. And because it's nature-based, it can easily blend with the landscape. And you can see it here. It looks like a bouquet. Our system composed of custom tanks, a suite of internet-connected sensors, and an IoT monitoring system that can help to manage our assets from a single system to a countrywide network. So it's like a centralized management of a decentralized system. And we manufacture our tanks in our manufacturing facility. So they are manufactured in-house. We can provide rapid upgrades, and our IoT monitoring system is seamless. And we're offering all that as a drain to drip irrigation system, replaced only by the cost of the sewage trucks. So what we do is that we provide a service, we manufacture the system, we install the system on site, we provide commissioning and easy monitoring and data reporting, which can really bring a smile to the sustainability department. And with that, we are targeting the market of sewage tanker trucks, which is nearly 100 million AED only in Dubai. We started our activity in Lebanon in 2018. And since then, we installed many systems for informal settlements in collaboration with UNICEF and funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In UAE, we installed systems for Al Dar, in Khorfakan, and for Abu Dhabi ports. And we have ongoing discussions with Abu Dhabi ports to install more systems, and for Masdar as well. So we started our journey by piloting systems for temporary site offices, like construction site offices and informal settlements. Then our plan is to support existing properties, such as offices, mosques, schools, villas, and in the long term, to start with the sustainability department from the beginning and reimagine infrastructure in a way that is more green and sustainable. So it's like we are working now on having a generative design tool that can show, like this one here, that our system can easily be integrated in the center of divider. So you don't have to forsake luxury real estate, and you save space, money, and you get water for landscaping purposes. We are a team of experienced professionals coming from different backgrounds, from telecom to chemical, civil and environmental engineering, as well as urban planning and business development. We are registered in Masdar, Sharjah, and Dubai, and we've won many competitions and awards. One of them is the G20 Infra Challenge Award. We really believe that innovation is a balancing act between invention and adoption. But many infrastructure strategies, laws, and regulations have remained frozen with time. Today, as we're gathered here for COP28, we invite all the world leaders, the environmental leaders, as well as water leaders, to select bold strategies and infrastructure. Make Pliny proud. Thank you.
Achievement so far. I wonder if you can say a bit more about how do you see your customer base evolving, and what's the balance between the more private clients and municipalities, etc. And then linked to that, I imagine that how much businesses and others have to pay for wastewater has got an impact in how many clients you can get. So what are the key policy developments that would help businesses like yours and others grow?
Thank you for your question. Well, in fact, we are operating in 2 different countries, and we have 2 different types of customers. In Lebanon, we are working more with informal settlements. Why? Because the donors can really pay the price upfront, the price of the system, and we are offering it as a system, not as a service like in Lebanon. In UAE, the issue is different. Our customers are evolving, and we are offering our system as a service, as I said. So we are paid only per month the same cost, which is the cost of sewage trucks that is paid by the customer. So that's why here we are targeting, like we're working now with construction site offices, and this is really going great in UAE. We installed many systems in Abu Dhabi, and we have ongoing discussions to install many more, as I said, for Abu Dhabi ports and for Aldar, and as well for Masdar. So now we're shifting toward also existing properties. So we're trying to target mosques, we're trying to target schools, and as well as villas. And we had different requests in this matter.
Thank you, Yasmin. I realized that in starting up the session...
Maybe I start by introducing myself.
Yes, I was going to.
Yeah, my name is Chris Penzana, and I am energy expert, seconded to the department of my brother here, Amin, which is the Department of Infrastructure, Trade and Industry of the African Union Development Agency. I'm based in South Africa, working on renewable energy. I will come to that, but coming back to the presentation which has been done, I'm always very impressed when I hear of technology being applied on the ground. And this is actually what many actors should be doing. I would have a question of the way you are doing it with donor support. Donor support is always good, but is, in my experience, it's not very sustainable. It has got its life limit. How do you now make sure that in countries like Lebanon, where the communities are not able to pay for these facilities, how do you see the future of integrating that in a sustainable route where you know that people can take over and take it up? That's number one. Number two, how scalable is it? Can you see yourself expanding in the Middle East, for example, saying now we are going to cover more than 5, 6 countries? And the third element to it, how do you make sure that others can copy and take it to also other regions or other continents? Thank you.
Well, really, thank you for your question. I will tackle first the first question, which is so interesting because in Lebanon, we really faced problems in the beginning. And that's why we're not working only on a system that is like a fixed system, but we have always innovation and blended technologies in our biomap system. Like, for example, to improve and increase resilience, we added two main components to the system. One of them is a smart holding tank that can support fluctuation in the flow, and we've added a windmill that is also manufactured in-house to provide power and to decrease to decrease the reliance on electricity, because we have a problem here for electricity in Lebanon. And another issue is that when we saw that to improve sustainability, people need to have incentive to take care of the wastewater system. So in one of the areas, we have our system combined with hydroponic and aquaponic system, where people are reusing the water for non-edible plants, and they are selling those non-edible plants. So now they have the interest to maintain and to take care of the system. This is one of what I wanted to say is that we're not working with one module, with one a structure of the system. We have always innovation and added technologies. We're working on research and development and iterative designs more than we work on the simple and one prototype for our biomap system. So the second question was about, can you please remind me?
The second question in the interest of time, but it sounds like there's a really fascinating follow-up conversation to happen there. I'm now going to introduce, thank you very much, Yasmin. I'm now going to introduce our second InfraTech company, which is Flowers. We've got a short video to play, and then I'll welcome back Abubakar Bashir, the founder and CEO, who will be joining us from Nigeria.
In 2020, the world experienced an unprecedented number of hurricanes, wildfires, floods, and monsoons, leaving people and businesses in harm's way, with government left to pick up the pieces. The annual cost of climate disaster events is in trillions of dollars. Despite numerous efforts, there has never been an end-to-end global initiative to successfully address these particular challenges exactly. According to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, stated that 1 out of 3 globally are not covered by an early warning system, with Africa leading the charge.
My name is Abubakar Bashir. I am the team lead for Team Flowers. A typical case study of Saad Mohammed Asha, a Malam that still stays in Abuja. He lost 2 of his wives and 6 of his children to the flooding because he lacked access to a flood early warning information and guidance. What a pity. Like Saad Mohammed Asha, there are about 5.4 billion people globally, 121 flood vulnerable Nigerians that don't have access to such particular services. Flood has been a major devastator with no limited resiliency for quite centuries. It has accounted for about 71% of all that related to natural disaster, and yet it remains the most frequent natural disaster with about 45% frequency. Yet we don't have a socially inclusive and gender responsive solution to that. Well, say hello to Flowers. It is an all-round solution that monitors and forecasts flood imminence, and thereby disseminate the forecasted data to the flood vulnerable individuals, communities, businesses, and economies. Why? For early preparedness, awareness, emergency response, quick recovery, and strengthening part of our resiliency towards the reduction in devastation among lives, valuable properties, biodiversity, food and water supply. Economic losses estimated in billions of dollars.
Flowis, as our solution intelligence platform, is already a catalyst for customers such as the government, the humanitarian organization with the likes of the Red Cross and Direct Relief, businesses such as the insurers and the insurance companies, the stock exchange, banks, the credit bureau, oil and gas sector, real estate, and the supply chain and logistics. Down to the last line. According to the World Economic Forum, stated that the climate crisis is a $5 trillion crisis affecting about 5.4 billion people globally, 121 million sub-Saharan Africans, and 17 million Nigerians. However, this presents a clear and a juicy opportunity for problem solvers like us in the climate tech sector. Access to critical life-saving early warning information is a basic human right. Therefore, we are offering basic flowing services in form of a freemium revenue model to those who need it the most, while charging for a premium subscription for our premium content. We have the likes of Deltares from the Netherlands, Ambient Rx from the UK, and PDC from Hawaii, USA as our direct competitors. However, what sets us apart is that we are local players. We are the first to dematerialize, demonetize, and democratize equitable access to these critical life-saving services across sub-Saharan Africa via a multi-channel gateway. We also offer a hyperlocal and a hyperspectral impact-based monitoring and forecasting for our services. Our services is low cost and easy to deploy and easy to manage as well. It can be tailored and customized across different geographies across Africa and other small islands across the world. Since our inception in 2017, we are currently present in about 6 sub-Saharan African countries because of the river transboundary coming through to Nigeria. We have about 8,000 plus paying customers and a million plus beneficiaries. Floyd's life-saving services has covered about 28,000 square kilometers across sub-Saharan Africa of flood vulnerable corridors. With such particular services active, we have helped reduce the flood-based disaster mortality with about 11% itself, and also helps sequester about 0.1 gigatons of carbon using our nature-based carbon sequestration program with the mangrove along the coastal area of Nigeria and the Bight of Bonny towards West Africa as well. The abundance of the mangrove and the peatland across the coastal area not only just helps sequester flood, but also helps to serve as a coastal barrier against coastal degradation, coastal flooding, and thereby creating a thriving environment for fishing and also repelling flood as well. We are a team of unique diversity with passion, skill set, and expertise for helping solve among the world's most pressing challenges such as the climate change. Myself as the founder and CEO is a serial innovator, serial entrepreneur with about 5 different startups that I've founded. With 2 failures, 1 successful exit, we're currently running 2, that's Flowis and my podcast across the maritime industry. Like a ripple of a single raindrop, we hope our good work will echo in your brain of wisdom and even worldwide, thereby forging a path to a more resilient, brighter tomorrow. Thank you.
I would say a wonderful presentation and also the kind of solution that you are looking for. Question is, you have started the operation in Nigeria, and I assume Nigeria is not the only region in West Africa that is facing the challenges that you are trying to address. Do you have any uh, plan for expansion, beyond actually Nigeria?
Okay, thank you for the question. Actually, we have already expanded across the 6 sub-Saharan countries that I've just mentioned because of the transboundary river system going through. Like currently, we're present in Cameroon, we're present in Chad because of the Lake Chad, Cameroon for the river Benue, we're present in Niger because of the river Niger coming through from Guinea to Mali, down to Burkina Faso, to Niger, down to Nigeria. So we need to have an active hyperlocal sensor actually there. So there's no way we can just monitor Nigeria without monitoring the upstream across Cameroon and the other upstream across Niger, Burkina Faso, and Guinea, which is quite not feasible. So actually, we have a presence, a mini presence there currently, and also a customer and beneficiary base there. Recently, with the aid of GIZ and NEPAD, we are about expanding to Kenya. So we're about to expanding to Kenya. Yeah, of course, Kenya. And last year also, we've gotten an invitation via the GITEX and the DIFC in Dubai to expand to Dubai because we have seen the catastrophic activity of flood as in happening across the world, as in there is no place that is safe, regardless of being maybe a coastal area or maybe has a river boundaries, or it can be as a result of hydraulic failures, for example. So we have some mini international presence across about 6 sub-Saharan African countries and Kenya coming through and Dubai.
Thank you. Any other questions for Abubakar? Marco.
Maybe a quick one for me. Thank you. Nice, great presentation. Again, about the customers, who are your main customers at the moment? We suffer losses from floods, on our hydros, on other companies, and so are businesses starting to pay for the services themselves, or are you more relying on the public wanting to protect population? I imagine you're trying to do both, but it's interesting to understand if businesses are beginning to pay for that service.
So indeed, actually, so like from the business model itself, we're looking at the B2G, the B2B, and the B2C as well. From the B2G angle, the government is paying a huge amount of money for us to provide services to those particular area, whereby they consume and digest the services to their own will and be able to disseminate an impact-based forecast and to those as in that need it the most, actually, which is quite cheaper for them rather than having their own personal infrastructure to be placed across different territories in the country, for example. For the B2B, that's where the real money is coming through now. With the likes of the insurance company, we just had a partnership with ICO Insurance, currently, whereby they're going to consume our services. So, like currently, as in the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa, we don't have a disaster insurance program. We may have climate insurance, but specifically, we don't have climate disaster insurance program in the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa, for example. With the likes of Nigeria on board currently, we're trying to empower them to have the necessary tool from all angles, from the side of the insurance and those that are paying for the premium insurance, to have a kind of an insurance coverage for that particular area. Secondly, the climate and the climate disaster currently is dictating how even the stock exchange is rising and even falling, down to the real estate, to the logistics sector. They're paying a huge amount of money for these particular services. So for the B2B is where we get a huge amount of money. And as I said earlier also, that access to critical life-saving data like an early one is a basic human right. Yeah. So we're giving out access to these particular services for free. That's a basic aspect of the services, but we charge for the premium content. But for those that are using the basic services, so behind the scene, we are mining a USDT crypto behind the scene. So whatever we mine, then there's a sharing formula between us and those that their device has been used to mine that particular USDT crypto from behind. So you give them a certain percentage, and thereby creating a more resiliency and a kind of a shared financial prosperity across us and then the vulnerable individuals along the corridors.
Thank you very much for that presentation and for following up with those responses. I'm
super quick.
Yes, absolutely, Marco.
One of the key issues at the moment is the cost of climate insurance, and so we're going to great length to change the design when we can of the infrastructure, or to maybe adopt systems like yours. It's important that translates into a lower premium, because otherwise, if insurance company don't do the work of going that level down and only work on the inherent risks, then that investment is not made, and infrastructure becomes even more unaffordable.
I completely agree, and that is a great potential area in the InfraTech space, is in being able to attract finance for specific projects by showing how it de-risks and how you're able to put in place the sorts of mitigations that are needed, either to prevent damage from happening or to respond to it more quickly, or to have just-in-time maintenance put in place. Thank you. Yeah.
And just a minute, can I? So actually, like, we have like a nature-based side of things, whereby we use our own AI advisory to know exactly where the mangroves are. So the mangrove has a kind of a special capacity to be able to serve as the largest carbon sequestrator, as in that it's in abundance currently in the globe, and at the same time, it has the capacity for repelling coastal flooding, for example. So we create a matchmaking program between those that emit the highest number of greenhouse gases and those that suffer the most, and the others of the mangrove as well. So whereby for every matchmaking we make between those two, actually, we charge also a 15% commission from what is the carbon credit that has been offset from the carbon emitter to the owner of the mangrove itself. So that's also another juicy area. So if the mangrove area is quite good, then we link it to a conservation program. But once the mangrove area is not healthy, then we also link it to other restoration program across the continent as well. So that's just a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got one final comment here from, that's okay, we're sort of excellent. I'm going to now introduce our final InfraTech company for this session, which is Bbox. And we've got the founder and COO, Laurent Van Hoek, joining us to present their solution.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can see my screen and hear me. So I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Bbox. Our CEO was supposed to present, but we were just signing a great partnership with the Rwandan government, which will be announced later. So we started Bbox in 2010 at university with two of my colleagues. We all electrical and electronic engineers of background. So I'm based in Kigali, Rwanda, which is the headquarters for Bbox. And we started the business because the problem we are tackling is that there's a huge amount of population around the world that still don't have access to basic services and products and utilities, which of course we all take for granted in some of the developing countries. For example, here in Africa, like only 50% of people have access to electricity. I'll give you an example. In Rwanda, when we first started 10 years ago, electrification rate was around 15%. Today, the electrification rate of Rwanda is 75%, and Bbox has contributed for around 15% of that electrification. But again, not all African countries have the same story. There's actually some countries where the electrification rate is actually going down because of the increasing population and the lack of investment in the required infrastructure. Clean cooking is a massive challenge. Access to internet and smartphones, access to mobility and clean water. So a ton of different basic services and products that we need to try to provide a new innovative business model to the customer. At Bbox, we focus on four key products. It's on electricity, energy generation, renewable energy that we're providing at the residential level. We're doing clean cooking solutions. We're doing electric mobility. We're doing smartphone and internet. And the innovation we've done is that those decentralized infrastructure are quite expensive, and most customers, of course, cannot afford them or cannot get the right level of financing locally in the regions we operate to get access to those. So Bbox is really an asset financing platform. We've developed a model where we can finance and manage those assets under a pay-as-you-go model where people pay through mobile money between 1 year and 3 years, and with a lot of service operations and maintenance. If you look at 10 years ago, no one was speaking about decentralized assets, and as we've expected, especially in rural Africa, those decentralized assets are the one really driving traction. To be very concrete, the customer we've had since 2018 is called John. He lives in Western Kenya. He got access to a solar system that gives him lighting, phone charging, and radio. He's been a very good paying customer for 3 years. He's managed to upgrade to a TV. And now on the Bbox platform and ecosystem, with the data that we've gathered on him, he can look at expanding his access to smartphones, maybe water pumps or cooking solutions. And we've built data and a relationship with John over the last 5 years. And then what's very interesting, because we have 3 million customers, is that we're gathering a ton of data on customers that have never been formalized or they've never been banked or insured. We've got a credit scoring at the customer level. We've got regional analysis on the payment performance of customers, which is allowing us to have different pricing model and optimize the distribution of our products and services. And what's very interesting as well, because many of our customers are farmers, is that we're also able to correlate weather to repayment pattern. And we've built some machine learning algorithm to really drive optimization of providing certain products and services to certain type of customers and understanding how they're repaying. As a Bbox today, I mean, we're a super platform. We operate across 10 countries in Africa. We've got over 3 million users of Bbox on the platform. You can see all the dots on the map. I mean, most of our products are remotely monitored. So for example, sitting here in Kigali, I can see in Lagos, customers who are using our system. I can see if they have a technical issue. You can hit them on and off if they don't pay. When we started the business 10 years ago, this was a dream. Mobile money wasn't there. GSM connectivity was early stage in Africa. And also solar technology and other technologies were at the start. So we're seeing, you know, we have thousands of agents, technicians, employees that we manage through mobile applications, serving and maintaining our customers on a daily basis. We manage over 200 distribution centers across the continent. And today we've processed over 64 million digital payments, which is actually more than some of the fintechs across the continent. So that's a quick summary of Bbox, like the decentralized asset financing model that we've come up with over the last 13 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurent. What incredible impact to have over a 10-year period. I'm going to get the QR code put up now for the voting for the solutions while we field the final questions for Bbox. So if you're able to pop that up on the screen and for the people at home, and encourage you to use your cameras, scan the QR code and vote for the favourite solution. But while we're doing that, I'll pass back over to the expert panel for questions for Laurent and Bbox.
Yeah, I'm heard.
Of course, Marco.
Laurent, of course, I know the company. We're an investor in Bbox and proud to be. The interesting thing for me is this concept of, you know, you can switch on and off devices, but you can also predict when the customers will not be able to pay. And that for me has a huge relevance to potentially social payments and programs that want to address people not going below a certain level of service, for example, access of electricity because of weather conditions. So I wonder, Laurent, if those conversations are continuing and expanding, and if you're getting interest and traction there.
Yeah, definitely. I looked this sector as there's a lot of subsidy money coming from government and World Bank to help, of course, purchasing affordability for clients, which are often in rural areas. For example, in Togo, the government has a nationwide subsidy, a fixed subsidy per month per customer. Now with the data that we've collected for the last 5 years, we're working with the government to figure out how to adjust the subsidy based on the region and repayment performance. So being able to, even here in Rwanda, they've categorized customers in 3 categories, and the amount of subsidy is linked to where those customers sit. So with the data, we're able to, and with governments and World Bank and DFIs, we're able to target, you know, and adjust those kind of subsidy and pricing on customer situation.
Thank you very much. I'll pass over to the rest of the panelists if there's any further questions for Laurent.
Actually, yes, I have a question.
Yes, Amin.
I think it's interesting to see the way you have expanded, especially in a context of quite informal economy and in countries where about 95% of the populations have not access to the banking system. The kind of technology, and you are using an app, whereas for a long time, personally, I did believe that probably it's not, because of the level of education, not everyone would be able to use an app. My question is, especially on the services that you are providing for the electricity, you mentioned actually people buying devices and utilizing your platform. How about actually people who want to buy, who live in remote areas and they don't necessarily have I would say the know-how about using apps, but they more actually are on the USSD side, and they want as well to have access to the technology, to the services that you are providing. Are they part of your customers?
Definitely, we work in the most remote places in Africa, and that's why we have the pool of sales agents and technicians, which of course are managed by our apps, but the customer then get access to the systems through those agents, and the customers actually manage their account on USSD, because most of our customers are rural, they don't even have smartphones. So they use USSD to make payments, they use USSD to check their balance, their accounts. So USSD is the main technology that we are using for them. Hopefully in the next 10 years, we will move everyone onto an app.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Any final questions? Okay, we're at time for our session, and I am just tabulating the final votes, which is opening in a very dramatic and slow way. And I'm pleased to announce that for the session, the company that has received the audience favourite here over the last hour is Flowers. So congratulations, it's a solution. A solution that struck a chord with the audience, but all three of these solutions were excellent. And of course, the theme for this and the sort of the call to action for the session is is that infrastructure needs to embrace these mature, these proven, these solutions that have impact. And we need to also, at the same time as we're doing it, and as we've heard from the panelists on the stage today, we need to make sure that we're also supporting and helping to scale the next generation of technologies and solutions that are coming through. So I'm closing with a note of thanks. Thank you to Marco, thank you to Crispin, thank you to Amin, and thank you to our three organisations for joining us, particularly to Yasmin, who gave birth last week. So it is incredible with her third child. So congratulations to you, and an incredible show of the strength of women and being here and presenting with us today. So want to finalise by saying let's just keep working together to enable the InfraTech ecosystem, because it's so vitally important as we're hearing throughout this week, over the next couple of weeks, and we need to make sure that we're doing these solutions for the better outcomes for the people and the planet. So thank you everyone for joining us online and here in the room today, and we hope you have a very successful rest of COP. Thank you.
me.